so many wonderful, free-thinking people here, a lot of people that are interested in all sorts of different issues.
I came out today for reason and for free thought.
Can you explain your fantastic ensemble for me?
I get mistaken for this mythical being Jesus all the time, but it's really just me.
And the biggest problem that I've noticed with atheists is that they don't really come asking questions. They're not curious people. They're actually anti-creation.
This is saying that, Obama's not going to make any kind of legislation or any push to teach our kids in early Earth or young Earth creationism.
If they didn't believe it, they wouldn't care. They would literally be off living their own life, doing what they enjoy. But the fact that they're so triggered by it means that they know it's true, and it aggravates them. It penetrates deep. Truth always does. Truth hurts.
If I believed that God exists, and I believed that it was the Bible God that existed, I would not worship it.
Aaron Ra recently said, if it was the God of the Bible, someone asked him, if it was the God of the Bible, and it was proved to be the God of the Bible, would you serve him? He said, I would not serve it. Talk about hatred for God. Wouldn't serve it.
A God that's deceiving us, that's not necessary.
Maybe God is bored sitting up there in the clouds and likes to mess with us?
They go out on the street, these atheists, and they hold up signs. And they say free thought, good without God, and they hold up all these signs. Do you know how ridiculous that would look if we did that? Look at me, everybody, I believe in science. Who's gonna take you seriously if you do that? That's weird, isn't it? But it's because no alpha male would ever do that.
They're an organization. They're a group of people. They all tend to think the same way. And matter of fact, atheist churches are opening up everywhere.
The Atheist Church is launching 35 new services in cities across the world. There's ones in New Zealand, Hungary, France, the UK, and 16 here in the US. What's your background? Were you raised in a religious family? Did you go to church?
Recently, I've just been debaptized, so I have the actual certificate to show that I've been debaptized.
How'd you get debaptized?
Atheism, remember, is a very small demographic. They only consist of about 5 to 7% of the entire world's population. They're very, very small. But yet, they lead the world in the worst statistics that you can possibly lead the world in. That's depression, medication intake, suicide, and school shootings.
They'll say, well, believing in Jesus is like believing in Lord of the Rings. Well, why is it that nobody's writing against Lord of the Rings? Why is it that nobody's writing books against Santa Claus? Why is it that there are millions of people who make it their mission to write against somebody who they claim is nothing more than a fantasy?
So why are you out here today? Can you tell me that?
To let the religious right know that they got to know where they end and we begin.
They're so mad, it's like, why don't you just calm down for a minute and let's talk about things like a rational human being. Maybe we could get to the bottom of why you feel like the way that you feel, and maybe that's probably the reason you don't believe in God. Not because of the evidence, it's because of the way that you feel.
There's another atheist believer named Sam Harris, and I say believer because this is a religion. You have to have faith that there's a Big Bang because you've never seen it. There's no evidence of it. But Sam Harris in 2006, he said this: if I could wave a magic wand and get rid of either rape or religion, I would not hesitate to get rid of religion. And what a disgusting freak. I can't wait. This guy's a reprobate.
Because evolution is true, and because everything can create itself out of nothing, and because there is no God that's needed for anything, therefore we're just on our own. We've sprouted up these new people that call themselves atheists, and they've decided to live their life and define themselves by this term, meaning they don't define themselves by what they believe in or what they like. They've decided to label themselves by what they don't believe in, supposedly. So what they've done is they've labeled themselves by something like a non-stamp collector. So take, for example, that I don't like stamps, I don't believe in them, and I don't want to collect them, so I've came up with a term that I can now define myself by not collecting stamps. It really doesn't make much sense, except for unless it really bothered me and it hit me on a personal level. And that's kind of what the concept of God has done to these people. It's affected them in so much of a way that they've now labeled themselves